moment that Yuno was given the four-leaf grimoire, it quickly became apparent that we were dealing with a character who is destined for greatness, which is to only be expected since he was going to be the rival of the series' main character, the pint-sized elf named Asta. However, as the battle against Xenon rages on, we've quickly discovered that for as powerful and gifted as Yuno is, Yuno had a whole nother gear inside of him that we didn't even see him go to until now. The desire to protect his friends, to protect the Clover Kingdom, to defeat the evil devil-possessed wizard who was poisoning the very country that was Yuno's own birth country. Yuno released a power that he didn't even know he possessed, which is Yuno's star magic. The boy who had already stood out in the Clover Kingdom showed his worth as being from the royal bloodline of the Spade Kingdom as the battle raged on. His star magic allowed him to create and manipulate stars. He was effortlessly using spells that put the mighty Xenon on a bit of a defensive, shocking him with the raw displays of power that came from a boy who was just previously taken out of the picture seemingly on his deathbed. Beams of light were being shot off for offense. Constellations were being formed to create a seemingly impenetrable defense. Yuno's speed had also gotten quite the buff, as shown when he was teleporting. The combination of wind magic, the wind spirit, and star magic was already a mighty force in order to face in battle, but when you add in Yuno's strong will and his desire to protect the very dreams and futures that Yuno held so close to himself and the very bonds that Yuno cherished, you have the recipe for someone who is not going to likely lose in battle. And if he does, he's going to take an arm or a leg with him. Yuno's star magic and Yuno's wind magic. At full power, it's allowing him to fight off a being who gave himself over to a devil, taking the heart of a devil, which also gave him a huge power increase. Both men, as they clashed their swords, vowing that they would find a way to prove that their way of doing things was the correct way. But what we're truly seeing here is a battle of light against darkness in the form of Yuno's star magic and Xenon's devil possession. Yuno's wind magic serves as the winds of change that will blow in this new era that comes from the result of this mighty clash. The symbolism only increases when you realize that two spatial magic wizards are right there in the area, and those two spatial magic wizards, they also happen to have noble blood inside of their veins. And as this epic battle begins to unfold, they're there to serve as witnesses to the events that are about to take place. And as witnesses, it will be their duty to inform those who are not present of what Yuno was able to do in this moment, when Yuno was able to save them from certain death. This was hands down one of the most poetic and symbolic moments of this entire arc. If Yuno wins this battle, it will be his win that blows in this new era for the Spade Kingdom, using the magic of this kingdom to light a new path forward for a land that had been previously shrouded in darkness from the very moment that his parents were murdered. His star magic will be a North Star for those who are lost inside of this kingdom to find their way back home again. Honestly, I can't think of a more beautiful bit of symbolism here. It's also one of the truly more magnificent moments in the entirety of the series. It's so fitting that Yuno, someone who is arguably the most talented person in terms of his use of mana in such a short period of time, is wielding power like this in a battle against such a mighty foe. The boy who grew up as a peasant in another kingdom was now fighting in his homeland, taking full possession of his birthright. For Yuno, this is him taking both parts of his life and putting them together as one. He gained enormous power as a Clover Kingdom present, the four-leaf grimoire, and the wind spirit. And now he's gained the star magic after returning home to his kingdom in the Spade Kingdom, and has at a bare minimum double his magic power, making him one of the more powerful characters in the series, which lines up with the narrative that we have in the world of Black Clover, that those of royal bloodline should be viewed as absolute monsters, and Yuno now has the power to strike fear into the hearts of those who oppose him. It also parallels his rivalry with Asta, who, since this whole encounter with the Spade Kingdom has come about, Asta has gained power in the form of a devil union. By default, if their status as rivals is to continue, Yuno has to keep up, and this was the only logical way that made sense. The beauty in this very moment continues when we realize that Yuno for Xenon represents what could have been if Xenon had not lost his way. Human beings are going to be dealt bad hands at times, but it's what we do when things don't go our way that determines our growth. Pain is what stimulates our growth. Pain is what helps us get stimulated in a way that pushes us forward to reaching our desires. For instance, if Vonica grabbed whips and chains and spiky heels and she wanted to step on me, the stimulation would be that of the most immaculate pleasure. Who knows, maybe that encounter with Vonica will allow me to awaken a new power that will get a rise out of me that I didn't know existed that I could use during round 2 of our encounter.
Go to horny jail.
No!
But seriously though, the beauty of Yuno getting this star magic is that the stars shine the light for darkness, and having Yuno do this in the Spade Kingdom during this battle is one of the more fascinating moments of this fight in my opinion. Zenon had already pushed Yuno to a point where he was getting ready to watch 2 blood brothers get murdered, and in that we have symbolism as well. Zenon and Alan were both brothers, just like Asta and Yuno were both brothers as well. Their moments symbolize Asta and Yuno early on in Black Clover, from the very fist bump that we saw to one of them being picked on and saved by the other, seeing 2 literal blood brothers in the form of Longris and Finral being so close to death, seeing the flames that burnt the candles of their bond being on the verge of being blown out, brought out that stimulation that was needed to usher in this change for Yuno. It even becomes more beautiful in terms of writing when you realize that human beings evolve through that stimulation. Desperate situations stimulate the fight or flight instinct that people have. In the face of a truly fearsome foe that threatens those who they love, humans will find a way to protect their very bonds that they developed, they nurtured and cherished so deeply. Then they do so after giving every last inch of themselves to protect those who they cared for. Much in the same way that I'll give every last inch to Vonica if given the chance.
Go to horny jail.
On the other hand, if they face a predator who they know they stand no chance against, to a point where the danger level is so great that the idea of fighting makes no logical sense, and that the only way to protect those who they love is to take them and to run away in order to ensure survival, then man's instinct is to flee. In the case of Yuno, seeing Finral and Longris being on the verge of death stimulated him into tapping into levels of power that was previously unimagined for Yuno, which makes this all the more beautiful. It's a stimulating sight. So what I want to know from you guys is, where does this moment rank for you in terms of Black Clover moments? Let me know down in the comment section below. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.